now take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here's Reverend Martin.
My name is the Reverend Nathaniel Wayne Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles. And we are located at 8916 South Main Street here in the city of Los Angeles, and we're worshiping with our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, pastored by my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Della F. Hollinis. And we invite you to any and all of our services. As a matter of fact, on November 12th, I will be celebrating my 50th year in pastoralship. I meant to bring in my little flyer, but I'll bring it next week. And I'm going to put it up on Facebook, so if you can't come out, you can send me a donation. The offering that you are viewing right now is entitled It's Time, and It's Time is a social justice narrative, and we try to address the serious issues that are going on around us in a scriptural, spiritual framework, And right off the top of my head, you know, the Proverbs 14 and 30 tells us that righteousness exalts the nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. I want to begin by sending our condolences to the family of Brother Hughes Van Ellis, who was one of the last of the three remaining survivors of the Tulsa race massacre, which happened way back in 1921, and he and his sister and Mrs. Leslie Benningfield Randall. Mr. Hughes' sister is named Viola Fletcher. She's 109, and he died Monday. He was 102. And he and his two sisters have been fighting the city of Tulsa and the state of Oklahoma, try to get them to give them reparations for destroying their livelihood there in Greenwood when they were assaulted, and their houses were burned, their businesses were burned, their banks were burned, the hospital was burned. Everything was burned that the black people had by the white people who simply felt that if the black people didn't have a town of their own, they would have to be dependent for their purchases, mainly their purchases and their livelihood, upon the segregated and Jim Crow white community. It's funny how white supremacy works. They don't want you around, but they don't want you to succeed either. But anyway, condolences again to Mr. Hughes Van Ellis, who was 102 years of age when he died, and he leaves behind a rich legacy. When I began this program, I think back in 2017, in December, as I recall, we were on the reparations bandwagon, and I'm still on the reparations bandwagon, especially for people like Mr. Hugh Van Ellis, who deserved that compensation and recognition for the suffering that they had endured. Speaking of him and his two sisters, not only but in the greater community in which they resided until they were unceremoniously driven out of it by their own countrymen, because we are all citizens of this United States of America, and we talk about freedom and justice for all, but we really only recognize freedom and justice for some, and most it's for the white supremacists who seem to predominate and continue to predominate. All right, but Moving on to the serious matters that are before us. Last Saturday, of course, you had the attack of Hamas against the state of Israel, and whatever justifications there may be, it seems rather blind and myopic and short-sighted, because the people that are going to suffer are the innocent Palestinians. And of course, the Israeli government has issued an ultimatum for 1.1 million people to vacate the Gaza area. And there's no way that 1.1 million people, 1.1 million means 1,100,000 minimum. That's a lot of people to move immediately. But that is what the Israelis are demanding, because they are planning to come in and, as Ariel Sharon has said, and as Netanyahu has opined, they're going to mow the grass. And that means devastation for the residents and the inhabitants of Gaza, those that cannot move, which includes the sick and the hospitalized, the infirm, and the invalid, are going to be victimized by the slaughter that the Israelis are preparing to unleash in retaliation or in revenge for what Hamas unleashed on last Saturday. And we can only pray that God will intervene. I hate to say it, but we're living in the last days, and these are the beginning of sorrow. And as much as we pray for the peace of Jerusalem, we don't see peace coming anywhere in that war-torn land. They call it the Holy Land, but that's what they call it. I call it the war-torn land, because that's what it is, war-torn. All right. Compounding that, here in the United States, we have a kerfuffle and governmental confusion brought about by the fact that last week, in a fit of spite, the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, was unceremoniously booted out of that position by Matt Gaetz and his 8 extremist Republicans and 200, I believe, and 10 Democrats that voted to vacate the speakership of the House of Representatives. Now, the custom is that the order of the day for the House of Representatives, when they don't have a speaker, is to nominate and choose nominate and elect a speaker. And it's been almost a week now. They booted Kevin McCarthy out, I think, last week on a Tuesday, and they adjourned until from last Tuesday of last week till Tuesday of this week. And now here it is Friday evening, and as I am recording this, I think Jim Jordan is the last man standing on the Republican side that they have nominated, rather. Earlier, Mr. Scalise was nominated by this same secret committee, but he could not garner the requisite votes. And a Mr. Austin Scott was going to run against Mr. Jim Jordan, but I see he has withdrawn his name. Of course, Jim Jordan is controversial because he was an election denier. He was a January 6th sympathizer, to say the least. And he was in the pocket of Donald Trump, and he is still in the pocket of Donald Trump. He's against the war in Ukraine. The United States sending ammunition and arms and monies to the Ukrainians who are fighting the Russians. And compound that, it's going to be hard for him to get his own Republican Party, which is over 200 of them there in the House of Representatives, to heal in order for him to become the Speaker. Remember, they kicked out the Speaker, McCarthy, because he had agreed when he was elected that if one person disagreed with him, they could vacate the Speaker's chair. And he agreed to that. And not looking at his colleague, Nancy Pelosi, who had a 50-person cushion that had to be assembled in order to vacate, to call a meeting to vacate the Speaker's chair. And but if whoever the Republicans nominate or elect, if it is still that same arrangement, then this bodes ill for going forward. And until they get a Speaker, according to the House rules, they cannot do any other business. So the order of the day is the election, nomination and the election of a Speaker of the House. And that comes at a time when Israel is at war, and the Ukrainians are at war, and the continuing resolution that was passed in the Congress to keep funding the budget, lift the budget ceiling until next month, around Thanksgiving, is upon us, and no other business can be accomplished until they choose a Speaker. That means Social Security checks, that means SNAP, food stamps, and all of that is in jeopardy while the Republicans twiddle their thumbs or fiddle as America burns. All right. There are 435 members of Congress, in the House of Representatives, and of course the Republicans have over 200, so they represent the majority in the House of Representatives. Each of their representatives represents approximately 760,000 people. And this is the best that they can offer is Jim Jordan. That doesn't speak well. And they're blocking military confirmation. And Rand Paul is holding up confirmations in the Senate over his objection or dispute to the COVID vaccine. And so then they have Representative Tuberville. He is also acting as a domestic terrorist because he's holding up military confirmations. Military leaders are not in place because they were acting under former President Trump. And a lot of them are still only acting under President Biden because of the fact that the Republicans have held up those confirmations. Chiefly this Senator Tuberville from Alabama. You could say, and you would not be using hyperbole, that the Republicans and MAGA are destroying the USA. They create chaos, but they blame it on the Democrats. All right, but propaganda abounds on both sides. Also, the Sackler family is still on the hook. The judge has not signed off on that Purdue Pharma settlement offer, which mean they would pay, I think, $6 billion to settle the claims for OxyContin. And most of you know a lot of people have passed away from taking OxyContin, got addicted to OxyContin. And it's a very addictive drug, and it appears to be a lethal drug as well. And the Purdue Pharma, which is the parent company that manufactures OxyContin, has made billions and millions of dollars and continues to rake in trillions from the sale of that OxyContin substance. You talk about pushing drugs. Now that's a real drug pusher. And they are not being held to, nobody's going to jail, and nobody's being held to account. They just put the money up, and most of it is out of the insurance, and that is that. And but a judge has said no to the settlement, and so that is still up in the air. All right. On the labor front, the SAG-AFTRA, AFTRA, are still on the picket line. Those are the actors. I saw one of the actors there today protesting. And you remember Fran Drescher is the president of that organization, and they're still trying to get a suitable settlement, trying to get wages, and trying to get, most of all, an agreement on this AI invention that is sweeping the world by storm. And some of you remember someone said years ago, argued that you can't block progress and you can't stand in the way of progress. But the actors know, and the screenwriters know, that if this artificial intelligence is programmed, the software as it is programmed into these computers, that a lot of those actors are going to be out of work, because the artificial intelligence will take over their image and their likeness, their name, and they will have problems getting hired, because the studios won't need them, because they got the artificial intelligence to do what a human being was doing. Talk about things coming full circle. They used to shake their heads at the blue-collar workers when they said that, well, if you're a blue-collar worker and all you can do is deal with a shovel, a pick, and an axe, you ain't got no future. Shame on you. But look now where this computer has evolved to, and now the white-collar workers are being not only challenged, but they're being dismissed from their position. All because of this artificial intelligence. This AI thing we're going to have to get a better grip on it, and get more laws in place and statutes in place, because it is taking away everybody's job. You know, of course, that they really want to put driverless trucks on the highways delivering freight, and as soon as they can, those driverless trucks are going to be out there, and you're going to have to make way for them. And that is a scary proposition, but that is what the world is coming to. And that is what we are faced with. Talking about we laboring people, that's what we are faced with in the job market. We humans, we get industrial injuries, we get repetitive motion injuries, carpal tunnel injuries. We have to take a break. We have to go to the bathroom. We need a vacation. But these artificial intelligence, none of that has to be factored in. All they have to do is program the machine, program the equipment, and the equipment will run until it breaks down. After which they will take out that component, put in another component, and just as they have done with humans, they will be doing that with machines. And if you don't think that is going to be a kerfuffle, you just keep watching your paycheck dwindle. And that is why so many people are out in the streets now. So many people are protesting now. Kaiser, the workers are still protesting. They're trying to reach an agreement. As a matter of fact, Kaiser is going to have to pay a fine of, I think, $50 million because of their business practices that they have engaged in up to now. They are being called to account. So you can see the winds of change are blowing, yes, but the establishment, the managerial staff, they are deeply entrenched, and the corporations are still in control. And you and I, who are laborers, I'm too old to work now, I'm 75, but those of us that are still working, even if you are 75, you know how they look at you once you get that age. They don't want to pay you a full salary, but they want to pick your brain. They want all of your expertise, but they don't want to pay you that expertise paycheck. They want to tell you how much we appreciate you, Uncle John, but they don't give Uncle John no money. And so that ain't fair. And it's time that somebody spoke out about it. And don't put up with it. If they value you, let them value you from your neck up. For what you got in your head. That you have valuable knowledge, valuable expertise, valuable abilities to pass on, then let them pay you what you are worth. You hear me say valuable? And we don't need to go to this class of axiology to understand value. Not being trite, but any prostitute on the street understands her value. Say amen, Licenwall. And so we cannot allow the powers that be, the corporations, the managerial class, or what you will, to take our energy, take our labor, take our work for granted. Because once you get your work, your labor out there, you can't get it back. As I started out, when I originally took on this task of doing social justice. All right, now, getting back to the war. This war is going to drain resources from the poor, because the poor, every war is on the backs of the poor. And the United States needs to be careful, because we want to pick a war with China, and China is carrying, I think, $5 billion of our war debt. And you can't fight with the people that you got to pay. That's a losing situation. And so that means that the poor will be penalized more and more, because nobody's making money off of these wars, but the munitions manufacturers, the defense contractors, they're getting rich. They're happy as a chinch in an old nasty quilt, as we used to say, because they're making a bank. They're making millions, billions off of every bullet, every bomb, every F-16, every missile that is fired, every landmine that explodes. They're making money. Every ship and every plane and every Jeep and every truck and all of that category of military munitions or material that gets destroyed has to be what? Has to be replaced. And who replaces that? Why, the American people, the taxpayer. That's who replaces it. And who makes the money off of it? The munitions manufacturers, the arms dealers are getting rich. They're very happy. 4 minutes. All right. The arms dealers are very happy to see this war come about. They're skipping for joy, leaping for joy, doing high fives in their boardrooms, in their penthouse suites on the upper floors of the nation. And here we are down here homeless, a lot of us hungry, outdoors, busted, can't be trusted. And yet this feast, this orgy of this saturnalia of prosperity and profit is going on all around us, you know. And so we have to cry for peace all over this world, because it is going to impact the Social Security check. It's going to impact food stamps. It's going to impact SNAP. It's going to impact housing. It's going to impact education. And it's always going to impact health care. When we start talking health care, that, as we were talking about Kaiser, that's another example of health care. But look at the disparity between the outcomes of blacks who try to get health care and whites who try to get health care. I'm still trying to get good health care from my physical therapist. He's a VA man, but they don't want to give me good physical therapy. They don't want to give me good occupational therapy because they look at my color, they look at my age, and say, well, we can kind of back slow pedal on him, you know. But I'm still trying to get them to give me an MRI for my right shoulder. They ain't got back with me. I'm going to keep after them because I deserve that MRI to see the damage that is on this rotator cuff. They gave me an X-ray. X-ray doesn't expose a rotator cuff. It shows if you got a break on the arm, but it doesn't show if you got a tear in the tendon. And so you need... in other words, that's an example of a healthcare disparity. In a personal note, put it that way. And so you can understand the anxiety that most people feel when they go to the healthcare facilities, the medical facilities, because you are anxious. You don't know if you're going to get treated fair in there or not. And so that certainly creates anxiety and angst in all people, as it should, because when you get sick, you want to be made whole. If you get an injury, you want it to be treated, and you want to get good treatment. You don't want to tell them your arm is broke, but if you take these pills, the pain will go away. No, you want them to set that off so it can heal properly. All of these things are what we hope to get as good health care, but we don't get it. And it's becoming more and more obvious and apparent when we go into these healthcare settings that even if you got good insurance, they may push your gurney over into the corner and not give you top-notch treatment. So all of these things, and then they are overworking the medical personnel that they have. A registered nurse in a hospital in an intensive care unit, instead of having just 1 or 2 patients, no, she's got 10. Well, you can't. If you're down to the 10th patient, and the patient up there it goes into a crisis. Well, if you're down here on the 10th, you're not going to get back up there in time. So that patient is going to do what? Going to languish and going to suffer, and no one up there on the desk to answer the bell, the monitor when it goes off. And so these type of things need to be remedied in our healthcare system. You can't work people without paying them because you burn them out. And that is what is occurring in our healthcare system, and that is what is occurring in education, and in all of our critical infrastructure. We're overworking our people, causing them to, suffer burnout and leave the job, leave the field, leave the profession. How many registered nurses have left the profession because of burnout, because of being overworked, in other words? Go back to that COVID-19 epidemic and look at how those healthcare workers were overworked in those settings. And you can't lay all of that at the foot of Donald Trump. That is the way the system is set up. And as Dr. Joy DeGruy says, this system is performing perfectly as it was designed. And so, as I wrap up, I want to tell you, as I always do, if you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you, take my considered advice and remember, if hard work was all it took to get rich, every slave coming out of slavery would at least been a millionaire instead of coming out of there broke. So it takes more than hard work to get rich. And if you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you, don't work for them. God bless you. Thank you, Doc. We're out of here. Love you now.